right. So happy to see you all showing up. I see the numbers just ticking up, up, up on the participation or participants list. So I'm actually going to hold off on starting for just like a minute or two. Let everybody get their good mornings out in the chat. Chloe's the queen. I'm just reading your messages as they roll through the chat. You can Janine, you can ask on chat. If it's in chat, it's just going to be community members helping each other. Um, for Finn is always like a great place to start because he can answer 90 something percent of the questions. There's only a few that sneak past him as something that is extremely tailored to like an edge case. So highly suggest you start with Tern and then you get to choose like, do you want a community member to just answer a quick, easy question for you, or do you really want to put something down in that Q&A panel for our behind the scenes experts? So please feel free to use them as you see fit. Okay. Chrissy, do you want to post that down in the Q&A panel so that one of our Tern members backstage can see that you're having some difficulty and they can reach out to support? Kansas City, that's where I was born. I was just down there. I went to the Lego store. It was fantastic. I love that Emily, the what is it? There's like this old like train station that has like this science museumy center attached to it. Love that place. Absolutely love that place. Hello, Sarah. Ellen, I know. Right, Brent. Hello, Brent. All right, everybody. Like, I really kind of just want to watch the chat. I'm feeling social this morning, but I better stop and get us started so that we can finish on time. All right, so welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We are we've crossed the halfway bridge. We are now on workshop 5 of 8, so we're on the downhill slide. Half consumed, half to come. Very excited. Today is going to be a great day. We're going to start shifting into like, how do we be more efficient? Thank you for showing us how to do it, but can you please show me how to save time? You bet. We'll start that today. Okay. Still, the numbers are just ticking up really fast here, but we're going to get started. People can catch up when they come in. So why don't we start with just a recap of what we did the last time we were together. So the last time we were together, we processed traveler authorizations. We were making bookings, recording payments, and entering the confirmation codes, right? We also sent the traveler an invoice when we were done with all of that to keep them constantly in the loop. It's like, hey, we paid, yay, we're well on our way. Then we spent a little bit of time unpacking the trip financials, right? We took that little tour and we looked at how can we track our commissions, how can we view the reports and see our sales and maybe see some breakdowns per supplier, what commissions are coming, what's maybe past due. That's a big one, right? And then we revisited our cruise and we added a flight and a little bit of some cabin options. Okay, so before we get to what we're going to do in this workshop, let's pause for a moment, and I'm actually going to share my screen so we can go through our slides. Our numbers are starting to level out, so I think we've got the majority of our people here. So here we go. Here's who we have backstage today. We have a long list of experts back there supporting all of your questions as they roll in. So thank you to Jennifer, Scott, Chloe, who you've already seen if you came to office hours, Ellen and Brad, for giving up so much of your time today to help support boot camp. Me and Ben really appreciate you being here so we can focus on those demonstrations while you tackle all of those questions. All right, Brent. Did you see? You're going to have to answer in chat. Did you see I responded to your post with a little collection that's in my house too, but it's not Star Wars. Don't hate me, but I think the Star Wars ones are too like monotone for me. You'll see some Star Wars ones on that shelf I posted, but I am a Harry Potter Lego girl. That's the majority of mine. I'm actually putting Hogwarts together right now. All right. Thank you for posting these. As always, you make us smile. I literally have people trolling Facebook and sending me your pictures as soon as they see them. It's fantastic. Okay, the You Spoke, We Listened slide. Here we go. I just marked something as booked and I'm part of an agency. Will this get sent to them? If you leave your booking accredited to your agency, yes, they'll see it, but don't panic. If you missed it last week, I'm going to reiterate it here. You can change the accreditation. So when you click Mark as booked, there's a pop-up, and in that pop-up, you can change it. If by default, it'll go to your agency, but you can change it to independent booking, right? So that it doesn't get pushed up. And for anybody who already pushed it through and you're in panic mode, don't worry, as you can go in and change the accreditation, right, to pull it out of your agency records. And then when we're all done, extra measure, you can just delete your demo trip and everything that was in there is going to go away with it because your bookings are going to go with it. So when you're done messing around, so just make sure you're not accrediting anything to your agency while we're practicing. And when we're done, you can just delete it. Can we get the office hours content for review? I have added the office hours content to the Q&A document that's loaded into the training guide after each boot camp. Now, today we did it a little differently to get that added. And in addition to live answers, project experts were back there in the Q&A panel with follow-up written answers to make sure that even the things that were answered live during Q&A will make it into that document. So you'll see those at the bottom. I'm going to click over, and this is today. So you'll see the workshop Q&As right here after it's all said and done. Once I get them all cleaned up and presentation ready, you'll see them right there. And you can just click here and it'll open a new tab and you can see them all, or you can click here and download it to keep it. All right, next up, I can't finish everything by the end of boot camp, right? So like we finished the last workshop on the 22nd. You know you're not going to be done shortly thereafter, and you're asking, can you please not pull the resources down? And no, I won't. I will not pull those resources down until I have them somewhere else for you. You won't lose access, okay? And that's not going to happen for a couple of months. So, or maybe even a few months that I leave it all up there and accessible. And even when the training guide gets shifted into a new format, don't worry, all the videos are going to stay. They're internal learn, they're in YouTube, they're not going away. Okay. Last thing, we hear you. Please speed up. I already know this. And we also hear you. Please slow down. I've never seen this. We're doing our absolute best to balance both, getting you enough information, but not too much. Doing, just little 10-minute segments instead of like 20, 30, or 40 fast-paced minutes, per topic. We're doing our best. We understand it's too slow. It's also too fast. I really do hope that those recordings are helpful. So if it is too fast, please, grab those recordings, watch them, do things at your own pace, pause, circle back, rewind. If it's too slow, watch that recording at 1.5 or 2.0 and get yourself where you need to be and then slow it back down to regular. This is the best we can do to meet everybody's needs. I apologize, it can't be perfectly tailored, but we really will try to keep listening and find that sweet spot. Okay, the laundry. Okay, those of you that are here for 5 out of 5 workshops, I'm sorry, get yourself some coffee. I have to reiterate this for the people that are brand new with us for the first time live, and that is for the boot camps. The chat is social. That is where you can get social interaction and social support. You pop a question into chat, you're each going to be answering each other's questions, and that's beautiful, perfect, wonderful, great. If you wanted to be seen by the product expert panel backstage and you want it to make it into that Q&A document that I post, that needs to go into the Q&A panel, not into the chat. That said, we are requesting, please ask Finn first. He can answer the majority of your questions very, very well. And by doing that, it will reduce the volume of questions that are coming through the panel. And that is just to make sure we have time to answer them all. So that way we're trying to like increase our capacity to help every single one of you on demand. Okay, trials. If anybody runs into a problem with your trial, they have been extended already. If you run into a problem, I need you to reach out and let me know. Okay, you can do that by reaching me directly at Karina at Tern.travel. That should be broadcasted all over the bootcamp stuff. Or you can just open Finn and say, I need to talk to support. And you can let them know, hey, my trial ended. And I still need some help. But then again, if your trial is ended, getting to Finn is difficult. So I'm going to circle back to reach out to me, Karina at Tern.travel. Okay, Finn, if you are new to Finn, there is a brief video that's going to help you know how to navigate him, because it's not intuitive to everybody, right? We do it the way we think is going to be the most helpful, but it's not always perfectly in tune to everybody's learning style. So I created a short video. If you're in your training guide, towards the top, there's a how to get help during workshops. And right here, it's a short video you can watch. It's going to show you all the things you can do with Finn and how to use Finn without friction. Where are you, Zoom toolbar? We hear this every workshop. It's like, I cannot find the button. I cannot find the Q&A panel. I cannot find the links that you posted in resources. The best advice is silly, but it's mouse over your screen. Just squiggle your mouse all over your screen. The Zoom toolbar likes to hide itself when not in use, and you have to hover over it to get it to pop back open. Okay, and then the training guide, if you're new and you haven't been there yet, you can find it in a bunch of different places. You can find it in the chat towards the top. I haven't reposted it in a little bit. If somebody wants to copy paste that to be at the bottom of the chat, that would be helpful. I've got the links in there. Also, while I'm talking, you can scan that QR code right there and bookmark the training guide, or I made it like a tiny URL, and you can write that down. I'm going to pause a minute, and then that is how you can get to your training guide. You can write it down or quick type it into a browser. Nancy, okay, listen, that's funny. I'm going to let somebody actually answer you, but I got a question asking if Finn is always there. A few nights ago, he went away. Sometimes I think he just gets moody, Nancy, because he should always be there. So if he goes away, my suggestion is refresh your browser, right? Hit the reload button to get him to come back. Force him back. Say, listen, buddy, there's no break for you, okay? No potty breaks, no snack breaks. Refresh your browser, force him back. That's too funny. Okay, all right. All right, that's the end of my slides. So let me pop out of there. We did our recap for what we did the last time we were together. Let's now talk about what we're going to do in this workshop. Today, you will learn how to create and use forms so you can gather information from your clients. Once created, a form can be used repeatedly, right? So you'll also learn how to turn your content, not just forms, but your content into reusable templates. You can turn things like emails, activities, lodging, or entire trips into a template to reuse them over and over again to minimize your future work. And then finally, after we've learned how to make a form that we can reuse and how to turn our work into templates that we can reuse, we'll show you how to access that, right? How to access those templates and forms to use time and time again. So today is all about efficiency, saving yourself invisible work to create more time to do the things that make you the money, right? Not the little tedious tasks on the back end. We're going to show you how to wipe some of those out. Okay, so with that, then I'm going to stop sharing I'm gonna go find that button. My toolbar went away. I had to do the hover trick, guys. Okay, I am now turning it over to you to get us started on the fun learning bits.
Excellent. Thank you, Karina. Good morning, crew. Welcome back to Tern Bootcamp. As Karina mentioned, today we're diving into tools that make your workflow faster and cleaner and repeatable. So hopefully by the end of today, you're going to have the resources that you can reuse again and again, meaning less copy paste and more time to plan those amazing trips. So getting started, like we're going to talk about forms to start. So forms allow you to gather traveler information before and during your trip planning process, and all forms are managed within your library. So they can be shared via email, they can be added to websites, or even used in social media. You can create 3 types of forms in Tern, starting with a trip request form. You can also use a contact information form, and you can also create custom forms. So to dive into what these 3 forms are, starting with the trip request form, when a customer submits a trip request form, Tern will automatically create a new trip and place it directly onto your dashboard. So this is really ideal for capturing initial inquiries and converting early interest into these actionable itineraries. The next form would be those contact information forms. So when a customer submits a contact form, Tern will automatically create a new contact in your CRM system. Or if they're already in there, it's going to update the existing one. That totally streamlines that client onboarding and keeps those files current for you. And then we also have the ability to create custom forms. So when a customer submits a custom form, Tern collects that information and data and links it directly to your contact. So without creating new trips or contacts, it's just going to pull that information in and attach it to them. So this is really ideal for those flexible information and gathering info beyond those standard workflows. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and we're going to get started here. Excellent. We're going to dive right in onto my trip dashboard and I'm going to make it just a bit bigger for you. All right. So we're going to create a trip request form to start. So when a customer completes this trip request form, as I mentioned, a new trip is going to be automatically added to that first column in your dashboard. So additionally, if any traveler who's on that trip request form doesn't yet have a customer profile, it will be created for them automatically. So what we're going to do is we're going to start up in our library. If you open up your library, here we go. Actually, this is a bit big. I'm going to pull it back just a little bit so you can see more of my screen here. So we're going to go to our form tab here. And we like to keep things in the same place. So in the top right corner, you're going to see the button that says new. So we're going to create a new form. So here we're going to name our new form. And since we're doing a trip request form, I'm going to say this is a trip inquiry. I already have the right there. Form for, and this one's for demo. All right. So the name of this form won't be seen by your clients, so make sure it's descriptive and easy for you to find in the future. And you can see right below there, there's 3 form types that I kind of explained a little bit earlier. We'll be creating this trip request form, but you can create contact information forms, gather from the traveler's profile, and then those custom forms as well. So going into that trip request form is where we're going to start. So I'm going to click that and create form. Excellent. So as we scroll down, you're going to notice since we chose the trip request form type, some of those related fields are already in the form, including things like our description, our basic trip details, and some traveler details. This is going to save you time right off the bat. You can add additional fields, and since we're using a trip request form, I think we should add elements like perhaps a trip budget. You can drop these right in here. Let's pull in another one. I don't think I need like anniversary dates and birthdays and these types of password information yet. We're just at the very beginning, so maybe some traveler preferences. So I'm going to drop and drag that directly into the form as well. Oops. Here we go. I'll put it right here. Traveler preferences, enter the details. It's going to be loaded there. And then let's preview this form. So I just dropped a couple of elements in there. We're going to see what it looks like. We have our branding right here to the right, and this is what it's going to look like for your customer. During your hands-on practice, you'll send this form to yourself so you can view it from the traveler's perspective, and then you'll complete it and submit the form so you can actually see what happens within Tern. But for now, we're just going to stop there, and I'm going to go back to our form, and we're going to see how it works when you send it. So as you've done many times, you can either copy, oh, here we go. As you've done many times, you can either copy the link directly from here, or you can just send it as an email to your customer directly. So let's shift gears now and talk about how we can share our forms with coworkers or even within the Tern community. I'm going to close this email for now. And within our form here, you can see this button next to your preview that says Share as Template. We click into there, you'll see you have individual sharing, so you can invite individual advisors to share this form through direct email, and then allow what kind of permissions within your agency and who you allow to use this form and whether they can view or edit, and then also within the Tern community. So you can toggle these on or off, and you can also share this directly from the link here. So click on a couple of these. I'm going to turn a few on for Jade's Journey and maybe my drifting travel advisors to be able to find this, and click Done. So here's a very important public service announcement for you all. When using somebody else's form template, if you get invited to one of these forms, you want to make sure that you create a copy, because forms within Tern are using URLs that route submissions directly to the correct agent's account. So by creating a copy, you're having a new URL generated and associated with your account and not necessarily whoever created that form. So if you're using another agent's form without making a copy, your traveler's responses could possibly route to them into the other agent's account, and they might be taking some of your business, and we don't want that. So now it's time for you to try this for yourself. I'm going to hand it back to Karina, and she's going to explain the practical application elements.
All right, so now it's your turn to get into the forms library and dig in for a little bit of hands-on experience while it's also fresh in your mind. You're going to start by creating your own trip request form. Then you'll send it to your traveler profile and complete it. When you return to your trip dashboard, you'll see a new trip was created when your traveler submitted the form. So that's going to reduce the work that you have to do. Want to see more invisible work erased? Try requesting the trip from a new traveler. Then, in addition to seeing the trip populates your dashboard, you'll also see that new traveler's contact profile created. Finally, you'll turn your trip request into a template that you can share with a coworker. Again, a notable mention here is that if you give the link to your coworker and they just start sharing your link, then you're going to be the one getting the responses for anybody that fills out the form using that link. So when you do share it with them and they go there, they'll want to create a copy, not just send your link out. Okay, so that's that one really big notable mention. So let's see where we're going to be today. Let me get my screen shared. This one right here. Today, we are on workshop 5. Naturally, we all just circled together. So we are on topic 1, creating forms and sharing them with our clients or sharing them with our coworkers. For those of you that are maybe new, to open your checklist, you'll simply toggle here and it will open. That's where we're at right now. For those of you that like to print, as always, there's a button at the top so you can download a printable version of this. Just please be mindful as I make improvements right here for feedback that's coming in. Those static downloads will not get updated, so it might be nice to pop kind of back in if you ever meet a point of confusion to see, I wonder if she gave us some more information, because as the questions come in, I do that. All right, so I'm going to pop over here and put this up just in case as you maybe leave the room and come back, or new people come in, they know where we're at in the workshop and are not confused by the silence. And speaking of silence, it's time for me to stop talking. So I will come back on. I will give you a 1-minute warning when we're about to circle back. And for now, go play with forms and start building a little confidence and skill sets there. All right, I saw a few questions popping around in the chat and the QA panel about not being able to type in the address you want to send it to. Just generally speaking, to send something out of Tern, you need to have the email exist inside of Tern already. That's so that the responses go to the proper place instead of into the void. So if you want to send it to your personal email, that's great. That's what we're hoping you do, but you just need to make sure your traveler profile is set up with that personal email so that everything connects. That's done so that you don't have to manually attach things to profiles or trips. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. Next up, let's get started on turning your work into reusable templates. And what I mean here is sometimes you've already put in the work and you're like, oh man, I should have created that as a template. I'm going to use it over and over again, right? So templates save you from reinventing the wheel. And while you can always go back and create one from scratch, if you've already put in the work, you don't want to. So we're going to show you how you can take an itinerary you've already built, maybe a lodging component you've already built and fully fleshed out with all of the room options, and you've done that for a specific client or specific trip, but you realize now I want to reuse that. We'll show you how to take what you already created and turn it into a template. You don't have to have started from scratch whenever you want to make a template, okay? So that's what we're going to take some time right now to do. So Ben, if you're ready.
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right.
Let's jump back in. Okay. So as Karina mentioned, we're going to be turning an itinerary into a template. So we're going to start by turning our notebook trip itinerary into a reusable template. So this is still my planning phase. So I'm going to jump into our notebook experience, and as always, it's going to land us right on our overview page, but we're going to be working directly in the itinerary, so I'm going to start there. Okay, so you're going to find the option to turn your itinerary into a template inside the itinerary's overflow menu. And that overflow menu is represented here by these 3-dot icons. It's right next to the itinerary name, and that's up in the left-hand corner here. So as you click into this, you're going to have different options, and we've edited our itinerary here before, but as you see at the very bottom, we can save the itinerary as a template. So there we go. In this pop-up, simply name your template here, and we suggest you are detailed as possible, so this is going to be easy for you to find in the future, and choose what information you want to save to the template. So be mindful of if you're including pricing, that often changes. So sometimes I don't like to include that. So I'm just going to add the documents that I have in here, and I'm going to change this name. So this is for our demo. I'm going to say bootcamp demo, so I know which one it is, because I have a couple of these saved in mine. Excellent. So I've titled my template, I've copied the documents onto it, and click Save. As you can see at the bottom, it's saved to our library. You may be wondering how to pull this template into future trips, and we're going to circle back to that after we get some practice building templates. So now that we've actually built our itinerary as a template, we want to focus in on actually just turning one trip component into a template. So making the itinerary template was pretty simple. So let's jump in and turn one of our elements. Here we go. I'm going to scroll so I can see all of them. So let's say we often recommend that harborside resort to clients, and we don't want to keep building out room options and pricing, all these other aspects and supplier stuff. So let's go in and make this template so you can simply drop it into future trips. Just like on the itinerary template, we have our 3 dots right here within the element. So you can click that 3-dot menu. Our options are a little bit more limited here, but you do still see that you have the option to save as a template. So I'm gonna click into that. Now, you can choose whether you want to include pricing here as well and commissions. So including them will save you time, but leaving them out avoids that risk of sending outdated prices. So whatever works best with your workflow here is what you're gonna wanna choose. Click create. And again, you can see that it's saved to my library. That pop-up's gonna go. So now we have a template for both our notebook itinerary and another template for our Harborside Lodge component added to our library. So these are ones that we're creating from pre-existing items. I'm gonna show you now how to create a template from scratch. So I'm gonna go up to our library here. Up in our top toolbar, this toolbar will exist in every page you're on. It kind of follows you with you, like your shadow. So now we can open up relevant library type form from the left toolbar. And for this one, we're going to create an email template. So we're going to open that email template from the left bar here. This is what I see as probably most utilized within Tern. We don't have to rewrite emails over and over and over again. We can just create one and edit it and send it off. So I open the email itinerary, and as always, up in the right corner, we can create a new one. Now here you have different elements that you'll be requested to fill out. So for here, I'm gonna add just a title to this for bootcamp, just so I can locate it. You'll have a subject line and your email content that you can edit on your own. And so let's say this is for bootcamp. And within my email content, hello all. I'm just adding some elements so we can see what's going on here and that we can edit them a bit later. So that was a quick little run through, and we're gonna hand it back to you so you can try it for yourself. Oh, one more thing before I actually pass it back, sorry. I'm gonna save and close this. We have to save it, so it will be added to our library. And look, here it is. It populates directly into your template library. Now it's your turn. I'm gonna send it back to Karina.
All right, thanks, Ben. So nice, short and sweet. That'll give you some time, hopefully, to get some hands-on experience with this. And then if you have some minutes left over before we circle back, you can pop back into that first topics checklist and keep moving forward. All right, so I probably don't have to work hard to sell any of you on the value of using templates in Tern. They eliminate repetitive work, maintain standardized structure and messaging. They expedite your team's collaboration and increase efficiency exponentially. So in just a handful of minutes, we created 3 different templates. We learned how to create a template from scratch, going into the library and hitting new. We also learned how we could turn our existing work into a template. We took our notebook itinerary and turned that whole thing into a template. And then we also wanted to templatize just the lodging feature so we could pull it into other itineraries, not just when we wanted to reuse the notebook. All right, so now we're going to have you go in and try all of those things on your own while it's also fresh in your memory. I will put up my screen for those of you who are coming and going to know exactly where we're at. Bear with me. I shrunk my Zoom screen and I need to get the share button visible again. I'm doing the mouse trick. Okay. Here we go. This is the checklist, but I'm going to advance it to topic 2 now. In your guide, you're going to scroll down just a little bit more to topic 2, and you're going to open the caret for your skill building checklist. All right, time for me to go quiet. All right, if you wouldn't mind circling on back. So we're now going to take some time to learn how to access the templates you just made. So you just made templates. You just made a form that can be reused. You made email, itinerary, and lodging templates that you can use and reuse. So now you may want to pull one of your templates into the trip planning or maybe client engagement processes, or maybe you want to search the shared or community libraries and pull in someone else's template. In addition to pulling templates into a trip or a client engagement, you may want to just view your templates, like what all do I have out there? So you can maybe discover like some gaps. It's like, okay, I could do to make a few more templates. Here's what I want. Or maybe you need to go in and find a template and edit it. You don't want to keep pulling it into a trip and making an edit. Maybe you're repetitively changing a piece of a template and you're tired of that work. So we'll show you how to go get the original template and edit it. All right, so with that, I'm going to send you over to Ben to learn all of these wonderful things.
All right, thanks, Karina. So as Karina mentioned, we're going to explore how to pull templates into your planning and client interactions. First, we want to start by pulling in the itinerary template we created just a few minutes ago. And then we'll pull in that lodging event or that lodging template that we made as well. So when utilizing an itinerary template, you need a trip to pull that into. So we're going to start there. Up in the top right corner from our dashboard, we can create a new trip. And I'm going to enter the name. This is our demo of template trip. And I'm just going to add my dates later so we can get to the goods here and create my trip. Again, we're going to land directly onto our dashboard here. And to use the template within this trip, all you have to do is drag and drop the itinerary library into the day you want it applied. So we have to start with our itinerary here. And we can see on the right that we have our itinerary library right here. I'm going to drag and drop that into the first day of our itinerary. And we have to search for the right itinerary. And we are looking for, just going to use the one that we've been using the whole time. So let's look for the notebook. And there it is. We have the bootcamp demo. That's the one we specifically just made for this demo. So I'm going to add that to the itinerary. Now, it's possible here that a pop-up will open for you, and that indicates that the dates of your trip don't match the itinerary. So when that happens, Tern is going to calculate the adjustment for you, and you can simply just check accept once you review it, of course. So if it does open, just click update and move along. And just like that, you can see your itinerary that we spent so much time building before, the one that we created template, has now loaded. And you can edit it and tailor it into any way that your customer desires. Perhaps they want to move their mansion visit to another day, and you can just drop and drag that. So now we want to go into that like component template that we had talked about. We created that lodging template for the harbor side. So imagine that this one doesn't necessarily have that in. So we're going to pull that one over from the side. So I want you to notice a couple of things here in our library items. There's lots of different templates that you can actually incorporate into this trip, but there's only 3 libraries on your right toolbar. We have our itinerary library here, our activity library below that, and then as we've used before is our cruise library. Anything that isn't an itinerary or a cruise can be found in this activity library. So since we just created that lodging template that I was talking about, we're going to use the activity library and pull that into our trip. And again, it's going to pull right into your activity templates, and we're going to locate that harbor side. Oh, I didn't even type the whole thing. And here it is. Excellent. So you may be thinking like, wait, the lodging's already in this trip, Ben. We created the whole template, and yes, you're correct, but it won't hurt anything just to add it again. We're just getting some practice here, so don't panic there. You're good to go. So we just added that stay at the Charleston Resort to our itinerary here. It's been dropped in, and since we didn't save the pricing and commission when we created this template initially, that cost is actually just displayed as 0 here. It's best practice, and this kind of ensures that outdated pricing doesn't accidentally get shared or overlooked. So it's good to kind of start here and then work that into your workflow once you have your checks and balances in place. Now, I want to do one more thing before we move on, just to confirm that our room choices are actually still here. So I'm going to open this up, and it's going to jump right to our general info tab, and I'm going to click on the rooms. Boom, there it is. Amazing, invisible work eliminated. You don't have to redo this again. So excellent. So the last thing I want to show you, we just looked at the itinerary template, we looked at the single activity template, and now I want to use that email template that we made earlier. So this totally helps with client engagement templates and processes, and you can pull them right into your trip planning. So from this trip, you can use the left toolbar to access more template forms. So for example, if we want to use that email template to send correspondence to the traveler, we can open the email tab right here on the left from directly within the trip. Now, here we go. There isn't a button that says add this to the template, but there is one that says create new up in the top right. So since we want to send a new email, that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to click that new here. Now, notice we can draft a new email directly from within the trip, or if you look towards the bottom left, right down here within the form, you can click apply template. So this means you can apply that template and you don't have to start from scratch here. So I'm going to click that apply template and simply locate the template that you want to use and click on it. So don't forget, in addition to your templates, you can search the shared and community libraries. So I'm going to click on this one for the bootcamp that we just created. And now your template is loaded. So you can edit this here. You can change the subject. Oops. And basically, don't worry, like if you can edit all this stuff, like you're not going to edit that main template from here. You're just editing this customized email that you're sending to this specific client, not that original template. So since you already know how to send emails, I'm just going to stop here, and then I want to show you kind of how to view all of your templates. Close out of that. Perfect. So again, we're going to go back up to our library here from our top toolbar. And from here, you can use that left toolbar again to navigate to the correct template type that you're looking for. So let's take a look at like what we actually have in our library. I'm going to click on emails. Excellent. So now you can see all the email templates that you've created. I have a couple in here about a dive trip that maybe for my trips, or a lot of my clients like to go diving into the islands and different things like that. So I've created a bunch of different templates like that. So I'm going to open an email template. Where did I go? I'm going to show you that I could edit that again. Here we go. And new email template is one that will get lost many a times. So I want to change that. I'm working on my organization skills. So I'm going to change this one to the best template, because this is the one I'm going to use all the time. It says it can't be blank, but can't be blank. So I'm updating that here. I've updated my email title. And before we save our edits, I want to draw your attention to the fact that there's actually one more button here, and that's the apply update button. It's right next to the save and close in our preview and share button, but I'm drawing your attention right to this apply updates. So these buttons aren't always present on your templates. For example, when you open and edit a trip component or an itinerary template, the buttons aren't there because changes in those templates are actually saved automatically. But sometimes when you're editing a template, there are hidden implications. That is, when you see these two buttons appear, it's a safety net kind of built into Tern. Here's a great way to think of it. The save and close button, this applies your edits to future template uses only, whereas this apply updates also forces your changes to anything currently using this template. So use that apply updates carefully. I'm going to save and close this one and go back to my board and hand it off to Karina for you to give it a try.
All right, so we just covered a lot, but each process was actually very short and simple. So let's review. We learned how to drag a library onto a trip itinerary to apply a template. We can apply itinerary, cruise, or trip component templates with a simple drag and drop. We learned how to apply a template to an email we are sending our travelers from directly inside of the trip planning screens. And we popped into the itinerary or to the library using that top toolbar, right? And that's how we could view all of the templates that we have so we could add to them or edit them. So now it's your turn. We're going to pause here and once again give you time while it's fresh in your memory to dig around. Please feel free to start with your checklist, or if you really kind of just want to poke around a little bit while you have product experts and tackle your checklist later, that's okay too. I am going to share the checklist on screen just so everybody knows where we're at. That silent time is unsettling for some. And that's up. A few notable mentions before we get going. First, the activity library. This is one that occasionally trips me up because we have activity components and we also have an activity library. So just remember that activity library holds everything that's not an itinerary or a cruise. So I use process of elimination. If it's not an itinerary or a cruise, I'll find it in the activity library. Okay, second, sometimes I stumble to remember I need to add a new email to the trip before I can apply a template, right? So I go over to emails, I want to send a template. There's not a button for that. And then I'm like, duh, Karina, you have to start an email to send an email. So that's something that I always catch myself with. So maybe that'll help you too. Just like I have to start a new email to send it. And in that pop-up is where you'll see the apply a template button. And third and final call out, when I'm editing a template and see both apply updates and save and close, right? Both buttons, sometimes I panic. I'm like, oh no. I know that I have to be really careful with one of these. Which one is it? I will open Fin, Ternbot Fin, and I will say, will you please remind me the difference between apply updates and save and close inside of my templates? And he will remind me which one to be careful with. So those are my 3 call outs. So with that, I think my talk time is over and your work time is here. All right, we're back. If you don't mind circling your attention back to the Zoom screen. Okay, so that was a big day. So let's recap just to kind of, I know when you learn a lot of new things like this little bit, this little piece, it's nice to circle back and like pull it all together, kind of like get our finger on the pulse of like, okay, macroscopically, what did we do today to help get it all sorted, right? So let's do that. So far, we've been focused on how to do your job intern, right? Prior to today's workshop. How to set up your account, how to get your client's profile information built, how to build trips. But today we started exploring how we can expedite the work that we do, right? How do we eliminate invisible, repetitive work? How do we increase our efficiency, save time, which ultimately means that we have more time to do the things that matter and make us more money, right? So today, we learned how to create forms to not only gather information from our customers, but we learned that when those forms are submitted, Tern will take over and they'll automatically create trips for you or create contact cards for you or even update existing customer information without you lifting a finger. That's one way we're trying to reduce your workload. We also learned how to not only create reusable templates from scratch, right? We go to the library, we hit new, we create a template, but we also learned how to turn our work into templates after the fact, right? No need to think, hey, I'm going to need to do this many times. I should go recreate this as a template. Nope. How about you just push a button and that template is created after the fact, right? Okay. And then the last thing we did today was explore how we can pull templates into our trip planning and customer engagement processes, right? So within a trip, we can go to that left taskbar and pull in some email templates, or we can go to that right toolbar and we can just drag and drop libraries, and then we can access our template libraries from right there within a trip, right? So hopefully all of this really helps elevate your daily functions inside of Tern. If you have not yet finished your checklist, as always, please understand we that wasn't the goal. The goal was not for you to finish every checklist in every hands-on application. The goal was to get you started in each one of the checklists while it was fresh in your memory, so you could start really getting in there and doing that. So please allow yourself some time to finish those checklists before we circle back if you want to fully exploit workshop 6. So we will be circling back Monday at the normal time, as always, up to 30 minutes in advance of go live. You can pop in. We will be sitting here answering people's questions, giving like recap demonstrations over stuff we've learned so far. Whether you have a specific question or not, please feel free to pop in and join us. You can just watch as we demonstrate things and just get a little bit of reinforcement in those learning structures. And I think that's all I've got for you today. So, as always, one more thank you for being here. I know it's a lot of time out of your schedule. I know it's a big commitment you're making, and you are very appreciated. I hope that you all have a fantastic weekend, and I look forward to seeing you back here again Monday morning. All right, take care, everybody.